We need to talk about the sexualization of Sydney Sweeney. Now keep in mind, this is not a video about what I think of Sydney as a person, her political beliefs, anything problematic she may or may not have done in the past. This is specifically about how women are perceived in Hollywood, but also in general, and my own experience as a more busty girl and how that makes the world perceive you. And I know there'll be people already like speculating and saying I shouldn't speak in it, I shouldn't be commenting. So my bra's here. I'm a US 32K. Okay, so that's my bra size. This is my literal bra. That's the proof. Sydney Sweeney is an actress, and she first gained attention in 2018 appearing in the series Everything Sucks, which I actually saw myself. She's so cute. I really liked that show. As a side note, good show, really cool. But then I also saw glimpses of her in Sharp Objects and Euphoria, and obviously Euphoria was when I think she became really well known, and now she's got like 20 million followers on Instagram and is a very established, successful actress, and recently starred in the rom-com Anyone But You. But she's also known for being very sexy and attractive because of her curvaceous frame. And during her most recent appearance on SNL, Sydney's appearance was basically the punchline of every joke and very much like the focus of what they were talking about. So this is going to be a conversation about not just how women in Hollywood are sexualized, but also women in Hollywood who are kind of known for having bigger boobs. So disclaimer here, I am going to talk about this topic not just from Sydney's perspective, what it might be like for her, but also what it's like for me and my own experience. I'm sure, I can just imagine it, that I'll be getting some comments saying, you're only making this video to draw attention to your own boobs. But no, it's because I'm actually qualified to talk about this because of my physical appearance and my own life experiences. And I know some of the problems and prejudice, and it's not all sunshine and roses. Although there's obviously many benefits of it, there's many disadvantages too. And that's why I was a bit nervous about making this video, and that's why I put off making it for so long. And I didn't want the video or the intent of the video to be misconstrued in any way. So let's be clear, the intention of this video is not to victimize myself or girls with big boobs or victimize Sydney Sweeney. It's just opening up a dialogue that I think needs to be had. And I want to talk about this from my own experience as a girl who's developed very early like Sydney did and has had big boobs since she was like 16. That developed before anything else. So let's get into our first subtopic, which is Sydney's portrayal and general sexualization. Sydney is a talented actress, and yet it often ends up being about her looks. And if you go to her Instagram comments section, there's a lot of lovely comments, but also a lot of comments from just a very specific demographic of very, very creepy men. And there's also like a small section of her female followers who are basically saying mean things like she needs to cover up more, she's desperate for attention, she's a pick-me girl, or why does she always have to be naked all the time? And a producer, Carol Baum, said that Sydney Sweeney was not pretty and can't act. It's clearly a very polarizing, uncomfortable thing for many people that gets them riled up over seemingly nothing. And what's interesting is she played a character called Cassie in Euphoria who was really just objectified and treated a certain way by guys because of her body and not taken seriously. And Sydney Sweeney said herself, in terms of playing that character, what was being said about Cassie in Euphoria, the public then decided to do to me in real life, which I thought was so crazy because we were trying to show a character who was so hypersexualized and what could have been the cause and effects for her, and yet they just continue to do it. And that's true. It's like people saw Euphoria, saw the character, and then they kind of didn't understand the whole point that Euphoria was trying to make with Cassie's character and overlooked it, and was suddenly, rather than talking about, you know, Sydney's talent as an actress, we're talking about her body and the fact she went topless for the role, and that was the main focus of attention. And this is just a general commentary on society and the way historically we've perceived big boobs and the way we've perceived small boobs. If you notice the way that people talked about Audrey Hepburn as chic and elegant, and then talked about Marilyn Monroe as like curvy and sexy. And it's very interesting how you could have the same dress and two different girls wearing it, one with slightly smaller boobs and one with bigger boobs. The first girl, she's perceived as kind of chic and elegant and trendy, and then the curvy girl, or the girl with a bigger bust, is perceived as being slutty or doing things for attention when she's actually wearing the same dress. Now, I know Sydney is of course attractive, and it's not like she covers up in all of her photos or all of her roles, so I'm not saying she's trying to hide the fact that she's attractive, but some of the comments in her Instagram are just downright disgusting. And there was even a period a while ago where people were hating on her and saying that she was really ugly, or that she had like an ugly face and a great body, and just saying really mean things that would make anyone upset. It seems like no matter what women in today's society do, we can't really get it right because everyone is obsessed with our bodies. And when girls have smaller boobs, sometimes they're told their boobs are too small, and so they get plastic surgery. But then when they have the plastic surgery and they get the boob job, they're told that they're basically fake and men don't like plastic. And then when you're skinny with naturally really big boobs, there's a whole bunch of issues that come alongside that. And of course Sydney's lovely. There's absolutely nothing wrong with commenting and saying that you find her sexy and gorgeous and stunning, but there's a certain tone to those comments which are obviously nice and have good intent, and some of the comments on, let's say, her Instagram are just being gross and objectifying her. What's funny is Sydney actually has a very playful, innocent, warm energy, like a golden Labrador or something. She's so fun. I wouldn't say that in any of her interviews or public appearances she's trying to like be sultry. I'd argue that actually Alexa Demie, her co-star, has much more of like a femme fatale, I'm sexy energy. So it's funny that people put Sydney in this blonde bombshell role and make out that she's trying so hard to get attention, when she never struck me as someone that's like trying or needs to try. So that has led me to believe that a lot of the comments that she's getting are from people projecting their own fantasies and sexualization kind of onto her. So when they're saying, oh, she's asking for it, she's baiting us, I'm like, baiting with what? Like literally in one of her photos, she was promoting a drink and she's wearing a tight white t-shirt. When you have big boobs and you wear a t-shirt, like, yeah, you can see you've got boobs, but she's not even showing any cleavage, but literally all the comments are talking about that. And it's like, but she's not trying. You guys are just like projecting that. And so the boobs are being seen as something that's put on display to impress men. It's being done for their benefit, when in fact it's just that you've put on a normal t-shirt you bought from Primark or a random store, and it just didn't fit how you expected it to. The next thing I hear a lot is people saying, stop victimizing her. Sydney sexualizes herself and she knows what she's doing, which is really interesting because people use that as an excuse to be disgusting. Like, we know we're saying gross things and objectifying her, but this is what she wants. She's asking for it. And I personally don't like that. Of course she's aware of her own sex appeal. I mean, I agree with it. She knows that she's beautiful. I would argue it's naive to think that Sydney and her team and the person who dresses her have no idea. Of course they know. That's why they dress her in certain ways for red carpets, because they know that this is part of her image and her identity as an actress, and so they want to capitalize on it and sell it. So of course sometimes they're probably like, hey, she looks great, this is what she's gonna wear today. Whether that's for attention, publicity, or just a general consistency. At the end of the day, of course Sydney knows that her boobs give her a certain unique factor and an appeal. And we did have like the blonde bombshell thing. It was still obviously very popular, but there wasn't like a new face of that. And so she is the new face of that. However, just because she's flaunting what she's got, or because she likes her body and is confident in her body, that doesn't mean that people should be saying like gross things or being mean to her about what she's wearing at events, because I mean, that's what's nice about having autonomy and freedom to dress how you like, is it's nice to express yourself like that. And so people shouldn't be shamed for choosing to wear skin on a red carpet, like show skin on a red carpet or show their body in general. And sometimes, like, again, might I emphasize, she's literally not trying. Like, she's wearing a dress that any other celebrity could wear with a v-neck on a red carpet, but it just looks different because of her boobs. Or she's in like a one piece and everyone's like, oh my god, she's trying so hard. No, that's just how the one piece looks. Honestly, she just has a body and exists. It's funny because people are so happy to hate on women for like monetizing their own sexuality or just being conscious of their own attractiveness. But isn't it better if like we're at least aware of it than just being like sexualized and just being naive and having no idea that we're attractive and not being aware of it? And of course she's an established actress now, but at the beginning, considering the toxic industry she's in, I wouldn't be surprised if she felt a constant pressure to get naked or was hearing certain things from directors or hiring directors she didn't like. Like, women go through a lot in that industry, and often it's not until years later, once they're successful and established in their careers, that they open up about what happened to them and how they were treated or how they were harassed or really nasty things. So this gets into my own personal experience as a girl who has bigger boobs. I sympathize with Sydney Sweeney because I understand how the world or people in general view you. And it took me like a long time to understand this. It takes you, I guess it's part of growing up, but you don't understand why certain comments are being made or why certain things are happening, and you don't associate it with your boobs. You don't think that would have anything to do with it. And then you get older and you look back in it and you're like, oh, so that's why that was happening. The first thing is hate from women, which is not what you would expect, but it's pretty bad. Like, I even noticed those comments on Sydney's Instagram, or just any, not even Sydney, just any beautiful woman, like other women then saying nasty things about them, like that producer I mentioned, and just not being girls, not supporting each other. People project their own insecurities onto you and their own personal issues with their body, which obviously has nothing to do with you. And you may have plenty of issues with your body, but you know, you're not allowed to apparently, but you may have them yourself, but people don't expect you to. Even before Anyone But You came out with the trailer, I was seeing so many TikToks and things of people saying, oh my gosh, it's such a red flag if a guy says that he likes Sydney Sweeney because he's normally the kind of guy that likes porn stars, or I really want to see the movie, but like I cannot bring my boyfriend to like watch Sydney Sweeney in that movie. And it's like, are we that insecure? Like, that's really sad, because sometimes it's said with a certain aggression towards Sydney as if she's done something wrong. And Sydney said herself that she was ostracized when she was younger because she developed a lot earlier than her peers, and she was made to feel uncomfortable around it or wonder if she should get like a breast reduction surgery or something. She said, I was getting horribly bullied in school because I had big boobs when I was little and no one else really did. And that's true. Like, you either get very hypersexualized in a way that you didn't necessarily ask for, or you feel like left out because you know that you're the only one in the group that looks like that. And there's many benefits too, of course, especially if on top of that you have a general attractiveness or pretty privilege. But I'm just talking about the disadvantages right now. But people start sexualizing you because their brains have been so damaged by porn. It's actually like really sad. Sometimes it's women, ironically, that actually have a bigger issue with you than the men, because they feel like there's some sort of, I don't even know what, competitiveness, or maybe it's just the way we've been socialized to just not support each other. So the point of this video is not to complain about how hard your life is when you have big boobs. It's not to say, oh, woe is me, let's all throw a Sydney Sweeney pity party. I'm just making a point. I mean, she has a successful career and seems like a happy, confident person. So it's not to pity her, it's just an observation. Because another thing I noticed is just, like, I guess, a lack of understanding, but so many people saying that her clothes don't fit properly, which is really interesting because I noticed the same thing when she was doing a few like magazine cover shoots. She'll wear a dress that's similar to what her co-star's wearing, but like the boobs kind of like pressed in, like there's not enough room. Like, it's a normal dress, but there's not enough room for the boob to go somewhere. Or people were like, oh my gosh, her team is absolutely awful, because anytime she goes to like an event or a red carpet event, like it looks like her clothes don't fit properly. Like it looks like the cup doesn't fit the boob. But it's like, do you know how hard it is to get something that fits? Now, I'm not saying I know the reason why. Maybe she can afford to get stuff that fits, that's tailor-made and that's custom, and her management just intentionally puts her in stuff that like doesn't fit. And I would understand if it looks sexy, but sometimes it looks like it just doesn't quite work. But that's because it's genuinely hard, and often the industry is like not trained to know how to like work with those body types. They put you in like the average basic thing and assume it will fit, and it doesn't. But I remember when people saw the trailer for Anyone But You, they were complaining because she's wearing like a bikini, but the bra strap looks almost painful because it's riding so far up her back. But that's the thing, is in order for it to like fit and support the weight of the boobs, like I know it sounds silly, but you have to adjust the straps and tighten them, and that's why like it doesn't fit properly, because it's actually too small. Maybe she just doesn't care, maybe she's doing it on purpose, or maybe she doesn't notice it doesn't look quite right, or maybe her management does it consciously, or they have no idea. Who knows? But clothes, when you have big boobs and a generally like small frame, or you're naturally thin, it's really difficult actually to get clothes that fit. Like it's so hard. It's just like annoying. And when it does fit, great, but it takes a while. And sometimes you just want to wear like a big baggy Christmas jumper, you know, but whenever I do that, it literally looks like I'm pregnant, or I just feel like I'm swimming in it, like I'm just in a tent, because there's no waistline. It just sort of billows out. So ironically, the stuff that ends up feeling better or more comfortable is the stuff that's like a little bit tighter, and it kind of gives you more of an hourglass because it just fits better. But then people are like, oh, like you're trying so hard to be sexy. It's like, no, like what? Not trying. And creepy men assume that you're doing it for them, like for their pleasure, or to like show off or something. And it's like, maybe you guys haven't considered that this isn't for you. Like, I'm not doing it for you. And actually there was a whole conversation recently around this, with the obsession with women cutting their hair short, or celebrities cutting their hair short, and people getting so mad at them for cutting their hair, because it's that thing again of creepy men, not the nice men, I'm talking about creepy men, but creepy men assuming that everything we do is to please them and they like the longer hair. But sometimes we don't like do things with men in mind or what they would like. Sometimes we just do it to feel good. And I even remember it because Tangled came out, and obviously that's like a Disney movie, and at the end of the movie, Rapunzel's hair is chopped off by Flynn. He's doing it to save her, so he just quickly chops off her hair, and obviously like he's dying, they're kind of in a rush, so he doesn't do a very clean shot. But people were complaining, like, couldn't he have cut it a bit longer? Why did he cut it so short? It looks so bad. And actually getting mad about the fact that her hair was really short at the end of the movie. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, why does it matter if it's really short? So moving back onto Sydney Sweeney again, what's interesting is when you're a woman with big boobs, people often make a lot of assumptions about you, and they assume that you're a very sexual person and you've like slept with a lot of people, or that you're mean or high maintenance or something. And they try and like categorize you, because we do like categorizing things as humans. But it's interesting when people say that Sydney Sweeney could try harder to be less sexy, or she could be more conservative. But in the industry she's in as an actress, I think that would have been near impossible, because if she went into auditions and was like, guys, like I want to go for a really innocent role, like I want to have this kind of image, I doubt people would agree with that, because they would see her figure and kind of put her in a box, and it will be very difficult to escape from. So this ties into just general issues we've noticed, which is the dumb blonde stereotype, or just in general discrediting, so many things wrong with it. So because Marilyn Monroe was a very well-educated, wise, well-spoken woman who throughout her career was sexualized and seen as an object or a product to be consumed, just like a household name. And people didn't want to see the real Marilyn or Norma Jean, like her real personality, her real backstory. They just wanted the aesthetic and all these assumptions were made about her, like her being sexual, when she wasn't a very sexual person, and she was actually very educated and had a traumatic childhood, but she was just seen as like the dumb blonde bombshell. Now, she played into that, of course, in her career. She was a smart businesswoman. She did the voice, she did the acting, but actually was struggling a lot. And sometimes the women are fine, but other times it has really bad consequences on their mental health because they feel inherently misunderstood. And sometimes beautiful women are the most complicated women because we have such complicated minds from being so misunderstood. Think Megan Fox, you know? And it's very sad to me, and truly it shows people's misogyny when I read comments saying, ugh, like another girl who slept her way to the top, 0 acting skills, 0 talent, just known for her body. Like, the world is so shallow these days. And those comments are clearly coming from people who have not watched a single one of her movies and have not actually assessed her ability as an actress, because she's actually like really good. That's the thing. She has so much going for her. She was class valedictorian, has a degree in business, she's very sporty, she fixes cars. She's a very multifaceted lady, and she produced Anyone But You, which shows her business mind and that she's starting to have more creative control over her projects. Sydney is not just a dumb blonde, but I think people struggle to categorize her as anything but that, which ties into her acting career. Is there any hope for Sydney? Is there any way she can make sure she doesn't get like typecast or stuck into a certain mold where she's only getting the sexy roles? So in terms of general brand management, I've noticed people saying that she does too many sponsored reels with loads of different companies, and it makes it seem like she's desperate for cash and she isn't selective enough with who she chooses to partner with. I don't have anything to say in this regard. I don't have a master's in marketing. I don't know. I mean, she needs to pay rent, so I don't have anything to say in this regard. But I can talk though about like the general trajectory of her career. I hope that she's in a position where she can be quite selective with the roles she chooses and protect herself, but who knows. Obviously, she recently did a horror movie called Immaculate, and I think it would be great if she leaned into more projects like that, because she has the perfect eye shape and facial features for a horror movie like that. She can have that haunted look to her when she does movies like that, and she has the right voice for it. I feel like she works so well in dark, scary roles, even more so than rom-coms. And the thing is, Sydney's like not super versatile from what I've seen. Just with her vocal tone, the way she speaks, it's hard for her to branch out that much. Like, her certain speaking voice doesn't have much range for a rom-com. I feel like it doesn't quite work, but I love seeing her in even darker shows like Euphoria. But horror movies, like, it's just, it works so well for her. And obviously the great thing about horror movies is you can really showcase your acting abilities. And I've seen people saying she needs to take an ugly role. And of course that would be great. It would be cool to see her in like an ugly role where the focus isn't on her appearance, and maybe that would have her be taken more seriously as an actress. But that's kind of sad that that's something you would need to think about. And I swear a similar thing happened to Margot Robbie, where a lot of creepy men were just wanting her to cater to their fantasies. And by the way, I'm not speaking here to my lovely male viewers who are really nice. I'm talking about like the creepy men, okay? So I'm not talking about you guys. But I remember that she did like The Wolf of Wall Street, and some men were really like sexualizing her because she was very much catering to the traditional male gaze in that role and being very sexy, and she was like the most beautiful woman in the world, bombshell. And then when she started branching out and doing more feminist roles or just less sexy roles like I, Tonya and Barbie, people were suddenly saying that she's mid and she's ugly. And there was this extremely random, unprecedented wave of people on the internet saying that she's lost it, she lost her spark, she's not sexy, like she was never attractive. But I wonder whether it's just because she was branching out and wasn't catering to like trying to be sexy. For some reason, I have no idea why, the conclusion of this video was cut out and I couldn't find the footage. So just popping on here post-filming to let you guys know that I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And I'm also aware that of course there's nothing wrong with complimenting a celebrity on their looks or noticing they're beautiful. I'm not saying we should do like blind casting for actors or something where you just don't notice their appearance at all. Like, I'm aware we notice appearance, and there's nothing wrong also with admiring a celebrity's beauty, or any woman's beauty, obviously, but I just think that we need to be maybe more careful with the messages we say about people's bodies, and that we also learn about people more than just their appearance, but like, you know, their hobbies, their talents, their interests beyond their looks. And I think it's very important, or you start to kind of objectify people and forget that there is like a real person behind that. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this topic. I'm aware it's a bit of like a potentially sensitive one for some people, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys for the next one.